right, 13.2. We're going to talk about arithmetic sequences. So in 13.1, we just talked about sequences in general. Now we're going to talk about a more specific type of sequence, which is arithmetic. Arithmetic is a sequence like 1, 2, oops, not 2. Let's say 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, where we're adding to get from one number to the next. What are we adding to get from one number to the next in our sequence here? We're adding 2. So arithmetic is a sequence that we are adding. Or we could be subtracting. We'd just be like adding a negative number, but it's just adding. So we have a formula for our arithmetic sequence, which is at the bottom here, where A is our first term, N is the number of terms, and then D is the common difference. So in the example above, D would be 2, because that's what I'm adding to get from one number to the next. It's the common difference. Next page, we have example 2. It says find the common difference, the first 6 terms, the nth term, and the 300th term of the arithmetic sequence. So let's start by finding the common difference. What are we adding to get from 13 to 7? Negative 6. We're subtracting 6. So minus 6, minus 6. To find the next term, so this would be our 4th term. It says to find the first 6 terms. So we need to find 2 more. We just subtract 6. What's negative 5 minus 6? Negative 11. What about to find the next one? Awesome. We'd subtract 6 again. So it'd give us negative 17. So those would be our first 6 terms of the sequence. Next part of this question says find the nth term. Nth term is just the formula, where we just keep n as n. It's just the general rule for this sequence. So we just keep n as n, and then we can find whatever term we want after that. So our formula is a sub n is equal to a plus n minus 1 times d. So a sub n is equal to, what was our first term? 13. So that would be our a, plus n minus 1 times d. What was our common difference? Negative 6. Now, on a test or quiz, you could leave the answer like this. I would be fine with that. But on WebAssign, it may want you to simplify it a little bit more. So to simplify, we can distribute the negative 6 to the parentheses. So a sub n is equal to 13. This would be minus 6n plus 6. And then we can combine our like terms. So a sub n is equal to negative 6n plus 19. So this would be our nth term. That's our formula that we use. Now the last part of this question says find the 300th term. So to find the 300th term, you wouldn't want to just keep subtracting 6 300 times. We want to use the formula. So we plug 300 into the n in our formula because that's the number of term that we're looking for. So our 300th term is equal to negative 6 times 300 plus 19. So we can just put this in our calculator. So our 300th term would be negative 1,781. All right, next in example 3, it says the 11th term of an arithmetic sequence is 52 and the 19th term is 92. Find the 1000th term. So we want to use our formula that we have. So a sub n is equal to, I'm going to call it a sub 1 for our first term, plus n minus 1 times d. Now this type of question I would say is probably the hardest type of question that we're going to see with this section, where it doesn't give you the first term, it doesn't give you the common difference. We have to find it. What it does give us is it gives us the 11th term. So it says the 11th term is 52. So I'll write that down. We have a sub 11 is 52. And the 19th term is 92. So a sub 19 is 92. So we can actually use our formula here to find our common difference. So we always want to start with the term that's farther away from the first term. So I'm going to say start with the term farther from a sub 1, our first term. So that would be a sub 19. So we're going to say a sub 19 is equal to, next I'm going to keep using the one that was given to us. So I'm going to say a sub 11 plus, now instead of the formula, which is n minus 1, notice how I substituted in 19 into this one, into n, and I substituted 11 into our a sub 1. So instead of doing n minus 1, I'm going to do 19 minus 11. So in our parentheses here, we have 19 minus 11. So I kind of kept my formula. I just used what I was given. So instead of doing n minus 1, we have to do 19 minus 11. We have to use what we're given. And then times d. So here we are solving for d. D is the one unknown that we have. What was a sub 19? What is that equal to? 92. So we'll plug 92 into that. So 92 is equal to a sub 11 is 52 plus, what's 19 minus 11? 8. Times d. From here, we can just solve for d. So I'm going to subtract 52. 92 minus 52 would be 40 is equal to 8d. And divide by 8. So what does d equal? D equals 5. So now that we found our common difference, next thing we can do is find our first term. Because in our formula here, we need the first term. Actually, it's not even asking us for the formula. If it asks for the formula, we'd want to use the first term. It's asking us for the 1,000th term. So next, let's find a sub 1,000. We can do the same exact thing, but just use 1,000. So I'm going to say a sub 1,000 is equal to, I can use either one. I can use a sub 11 or a sub 19. Let's use 11. So a sub 11 plus, what would go into my parentheses here? Awesome, 1,000 minus 11. Times d, which we know d is what? 5. What we don't know is what a sub 1,000 is. That's what we're trying to find. So a sub 1,000 is equal to, what's a sub 11, our 11th term? 52. Plus, here we can do 1,000 minus 11. So that would be 989 times 5. So that would be 4,945 plus 52. So our 1,000th term is 4,997. Next part of this lesson is we're going to find the partial sum of an arithmetic sequence. So we talked about sums in 13.1, where we had to plug in all the numbers from 1 to the ending number here. So we'd plug in 1, we'd plug in 2, we'd plug in 3. But when you have something from 1 to 100, you're not going to sit here and plug in your 100 numbers and then add them all together. We have a formula for that, which is on the next page. So this would be our formula. So when it gives you a question with that squiggly line, that means the sum. So we use our sum formula. So our sum formula is S sub n is equal to n over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. So a sub 1 is our first term, a sub n is our last term, and n is the number of terms. So let's do example 4. It says find the partial sum of the arithmetic sequence. So our formula is S sub n is equal to n over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. So we would need to figure out what our n is, how many terms we have, what our first term is, and what our last term is. Now to find our number of terms, here we're starting with 5 and ending with 312. So we're plugging in 5, that would be our first term. We plug in 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 312. Instead of just sitting here and counting how many terms we have, we can do the top number minus the bottom plus 1. So that would give us how many terms? So 312 minus 5 plus 1. Don't forget to add 1 to that. If I had a sequence that was from 1 to 3, I would have 3 terms here. I'd have 1, 2, 3, everything on the way to 3. If I did 1 minus 3, that would just be 2, which I don't have 2 terms. I just said I have 3. I have 1, 2, and 3. So you have to remember to add that 1 to it. So 312 minus 5 would be 307, and 307 plus 1 would be 308. So we have 308 terms. So you do top minus the bottom plus 1 to find n. Now to find our first term, we take our starting number down here. So I is equal to 5, or here it actually should say n is equal to 5. And we're going to plug that into n in our equation that's given. So we're going to take 5 and plug it in. So we have negative 7 times 5 plus 9. Negative 7 times 5 would be negative 35. Plus 9 would be negative 26. Then to find our last term, we're going to take the number up top and plug that into n. So you have negative 7 times 312 plus 9. So that gives us negative 2,175. So now let's plug all that into our formula. So S sub n just means the sum is equal to n, we said was 308 over 2 times a sub 1, which is negative 26, plus a sub n, which is negative 2,175. So S sub n is equal to, we can do 308 divided by 2, which would be 154. Times negative 2,000, or negative 26 minus 2,175. So that would be negative 2,201. And then we're going to multiply it by 154. So the sum of all of our terms in the sequence is negative 338,954. Definitely want to use your calculator for this section because the numbers get really big really quickly.